Hello everyone, welcome to Educational Channel and this is Srinath. So today we are going to learn about the Russian Revolution. Okay? To understand the Russian Revolution in a clear manner, we have to learn about or observe the social and political order in 19th century Russia, especially late 19th century Russia. Okay? Somewhere around the 1870s, 1860s, okay? 1860s to 1900s. Serfdom, a type of slavery, was prominent in Russia. Okay, it was practiced by the aristocracy, and obviously slavery is against the common people. Okay, the common people were used as slaves. The peasants were not paid properly. They were charged very high rents on the lands which the Russian landlords owned. Okay, and the country was sunken in autocratic rule. What is autocratic rule? A single person or a group of people hold power, which is absolutist. There are no restraints on the power exercised. Okay, so here the person who held the power was the king or the Tsar, Tsar. Okay, now we have to talk about two important Tsars. Okay, the first one is Tsar Alexander III. He was also known as the Repressor. It was his nickname. Why? You can use the name to judge whatever he did, right? He repressed people. Who did he repress? He repressed religious minorities, ethnic minorities, and different types of political opponents, people who had different ideologies about the absolutist power, and he employed or he deployed a secret police force called the Okhrana. Okay, in the 1960s it came to be known as the KGB, but for now it is Okhrana. Okay, in the 1870s and 1880s it is the Okhrana. Why was this police force deployed, you ask me? You see, many people had different political ideologies, right? Like communism, socialism, and capitalism. These people wanted to popularize their ideologies, and this was against absolutist rule. This was the main thing, the main ideology, or the main cause for employing the Okhrana. Okay, that was the main thing. After Tsar Alexander III's death, his son Tsar Nicholas II succeeded the throne. But on the coronation ceremony, he told that he was not fit or capable of becoming the Tsar. Okay, why? Because he considered himself immature or incapable of ruling Russia, and he partied. He was a very bad administrator, and he had no knowledge about the Russian provinces and the aristocratic rules. Okay, so he did not want to be in power, first of all. And then here a new key figure rises. He is Vladimir Lenin. You might have heard his name. And he popularized one ideology. Can you guess it? It's communism. Okay. And this was not some kind of normal communism, it was an extreme form of communism. And we have already talked about communism, right? And Lenin was inspired by Karl Marx. He was inspired by Karl Marx's writings. Okay, and he was exiled to Siberia. Okay, Lenin was exiled to Siberia for writing about communism. He escaped from the Okhrana, the police force. Okay, and he got caught by another subgroup who surrendered him to the Tsar. Okay, Tsar Nicholas II. He sent him to Siberia in an exile. Okay, there he wrote communist and socialist newspapers, popularized his ideas, and then he smuggled his newspapers and his ideas through railway lines into Russia so that a communist revolution can take place. Okay, and in Russia, after his exile of 12 years was over, he joined a party, RDSLP. Okay, even there, many people were fond of neoliberalism, liberalism, and communism which was less radical than Lenin's ideas. Okay, so this created a lot of tensions and tussles between the members of RSDLP. Okay, this party. So Lenin created two factions. Okay, he was the reason for this factional thing between in the party, which was Bolshevik and Menshevik. You see, Bolshevik means majority in Russian and Menshevik means minority. But the irony here is that the Menshevik were in the majority, they had the majority of the members supporting their own ideology. So the majority group was called the minority and the minority group was called the majority. This is the irony here, main irony here. And the Bolsheviks were very radical, very extreme in their expression of communism, okay, and the Mensheviks were quite a little bit less, okay, less radical. This was the main thing. And amidst all this, okay, the Russian Tsar Nicholas II, he wanted to divert the people's attention because people, they were in really poor conditions of working and livelihood, right? So he wanted to divert their attention in order to stay in power, okay, in order to prevent any revolutions or problems, okay. So he entered World War One and he fought against Japan, okay. He wanted to conquer some land and power and resources, okay, so that he can bring some form of nationalism among all his Russians and prevent any complications. But Russia was defeated by Japan and this resulted in a very large upheaval of people, okay. A lot of stampedes, a lot of protests and uprisings against the Tsar Nicholas II, okay. This was a very big drawback and Russia had to withdraw from the war. Later, Father Gapon, okay, he was a father in a church, okay, Father Gapon, he gathered a lot of people, thousands of Russians, who were especially poor workers and women, and he wrote some letters, he wrote some demands in some sheets of paper, asking for good working conditions or improvement in working conditions and wages for the poor people and the workers, okay. So it was a very peaceful protest, not even a protest, okay, it was a peaceful gathering in front of Tsar Nicholas II's residence, the palace, okay. But the problem is, Tsar Nicholas II had already left Russia 3 weeks earlier, okay, 3 weeks earlier. So they did not have any information about this, okay, and Nicholas II did not know anything about this. After some time, after a few hours, the army was requisitioned and all these thousands of people, including Father Gapon, were shot. They were shot dead, okay, using guns. This was known as Bloody Sunday, okay. So this caused a lot of unpopularity among the people regarding the Tsar Nicholas II. So they wanted to remove him, they wanted to dethrone him and install a different type of government which respected the rights of the people and in which all the people had some form of sharing power. Yeah, but there was another thing with this Bloody Sunday. The main thing is that Tsar Nicholas II did not order his troops to fire on the people. Anyway, he did not have any information about this and he did not know that something like this had happened. So it was definitely not Tsar Nicholas II's fault, but after a lot of cascading events like this, it resulted in the Great Russian Revolution of 1905. Okay, what happened next is just normal. A lot of protests, revolts and uprisings, and the liberals, the Mensheviks especially, they demanded for power and they seized political power, okay, they seized political power and this led to political instability. Tsar Nicholas II was afraid of his dethronement, okay, he thought that he would be dethroned, okay. So what he did was, he gathered his elected representatives, and his elected means he elected those people. The common people did not elect these representatives. It was his aristocratic decision, okay. his decision. He gathered these people, and one of them was Sergei. Okay, he gathered these people and created a buffer parliament called the Duma. Okay, what is this? The Mensheviks and three Bolsheviks. Okay, only three Bolsheviks. Mensheviks, three Bolsheviks, and the people who supported the king were the members of Duma. Okay, they wanted the king to share a small fraction of his power so that a power vacuum may not be formed. We have learned about power vacuum already. So, this was the power sharing arrangement, a temporary form of power sharing arrangement between the very less radical people or the Mensheviks and the aristocracy. Okay, that's all for today. Thank you. Make sure you like and subscribe.